Hey guys, it's Josh. Today we're going to talk about Windows deprecating NTLM in favor of SMB signing. So NTLM has been around as a protocol for a long time, and it's got weaker cryptography, and it's open to NTLM relay attacks, which have been well documented. So it's something that if you can get on your environment, you want to. So NTLM is called, ironically, New Technology Land Manager. And it's not that new. It's been around for 20 plus years. So really what we want to do here is identify where NTLM is in the infrastructure. It's an article on Bleeping Computer. I'll link to it that talks about how this is going to be a requirement. Windows has gone through the same similar process with SMB1. So understanding how you can get that in your environment, that's where, WannaCry and some ransomware is taking advantage of very old protocol. It uses poor cryptography, and the authentication is not as robust as SMB signing. So it's open to these NTLM relay attacks, especially around privileged accounts. We don't want them using NTLM. I get it. If you've got IoT devices, legacy devices, you don't want to break your production infrastructure, but you do want to say, hey, corporate infrastructure, where is our exposure risk in this? How many privileged accounts are using NTLM? How much of my environment has NTLM? And then you can start to work with your internal resources to say, hey, this is our risk on this, and this is what it's going to take to get us off of NTLM in the future. So understanding is kind of half the battle. Going back to the old GI Joe, knowing is half the battle. So this will allow you to understand where you're at and start to put a plan together to completely get off NTLM in the coming months and years. Okay, so just breezing through this, there should be at the top of any security team's list to deprecate. The computer talks about that. There's some ways to be able to turn off the sign if you want to. Talked about phasing SMB1. I've already seen that. So let's kind of get into what are some of the ways that you can use MixMode to look and see where you have that. So there's a task, which I'll do a separate video on, called scheduled tasks within MixMode. That's very powerful. You can basically create any query you want, very easy, to be able to then fire off a task, which then fires off an alert and fires off an email, which I'll show you. So around this NTLM function, we parse the NTLM all the time. We show it to you, but that's not necessarily something that you'd always want alerts on. But let's say now you're going through this audit and you want to be able to see, I need to know where NTLM is. My executives want this report. Great. You have the query, it runs, you can put whatever text you want in here. And then here's the entire flow logs associated with NTLM authentication. Here's the IP addresses in this particular one. You can pull an entire report on those if you want, and it's going to go through the entire tree of those. And then it's going to show you the query that generated that. And then you can also go into the actual email. So here's an email that said, hey, MixMode, send me an email when you get this. I want severity of 5. Show me the IP addresses associated with these transactions. So now I have a quick email that I can be able to send out to my executives and say, here's my risk. And you could put this into a business intelligence tool if you wanted to be able to put that with other pieces of data in some kind of data lake to say, hey, here's our exposure of the percentage of transactions, which are NTLM, and here's the types of devices that are using that. So in summary and conclusion, NTLM should be deprecated. Understand if you still have to use it. Use MixMode to quickly understand where you have NTLM in your environment, what those exposure risks are, and make sure that you do not have any privileged accounts on NTLM. Thanks so much.